Hey,
Hi, Lauren. How are
good. That's my social answer. Good.
you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad you could make it.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you. I'm
you're welcome.
excited.
Me too. Me too.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes and let some people get on here, and then
Okay.
I'll go ahead and mute everyone.
Okay. I think Sally's gonna try to join.
I think I saw her.
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
Hey, Sally.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, you're not up in the air.
No, I was able to, I'm always changing my trips around.
Oh, well, you'll be up in the air in a different way today.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get everyone muted. All right. So, let me make sure that this is right. I'm going to open up. Want to make sure that you all can communicate with me. All right. Lauren, will you do me a favor and type in the chat bar if you are seeing me in the large screen? Or Scott, one of y'all. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay. Hey, everybody. And welcome to Connecting with the Archangels. I'm really excited about this. It has been, communicating with the angels is actually something that I've started to kind of take for granted. And so this feels really special to be able to share how to do this with you all. And as we're just kind of getting settled in, I want to just take a moment because we've probably all had busy days and we've got a lot going on. So let's just take a moment to pause and set the space. So if you wouldn't mind just closing your eyes. And if you need to take kind of a deep breath, let that happen, or just find a nice style of breathing that feels good for you. But whatever you do, sort of set an intention to kind of cleanse the first part of your day and bring yourself into this space here with all of us in this virtual circle. And as you breathe, just notice your stomach gently rising and falling. And take a moment to imagine yourself. This is a virtual circle, but energetically, we are all together. There is no time and space. We are all together, circled around an altar together, connected with this intention of communicating with the angels, opening ourselves more fully to them and to our spiritual connection. Just allow yourself to drop into that. All right, thank you. So we can go ahead and open our eyes. So, and if you wouldn't mind, if everybody wouldn't mind going ahead and along the bottom of your screen, there is a little toolbar. And if you would just check to see that you're muted, and we'll have everybody mute themselves right now, and then we'll unmute later when we do sharing. Okay, so thank you again for being here. It's really interesting, and I love, I think I mentioned in the in the email invitation that the Archangels really kind of tapped me on the shoulder for this. They woke me up and they were like, you need to have a web ceremony. And I was like, okay, because when the Archangels like tap you on the shoulder and tell you to do something, you know, it's usually good practice to do it. It usually means that there's something bigger going on. And for me, it was really, there's a lot that is sort of connected to this, and I'll go more fully into that later. But, you know, it's one of those things is that they really, you know, had called on them to help me. And they're like, we're here, we want to help you. And here's some action that you can take to facilitate that. And that's what I found a lot in my connection with the Archangels. They're always there for me. They are so loving. And every time I ask them for something, you know, it really plays out, and there's really no thing too big or too small. And that's one of the things I love about them too. When I first started doing this type of work, I didn't trust that the angels could be there for me. I mean, initially I didn't believe in the angels at all. I was like, that's stupid, whatever. Like totally not into it. And then I had this really profound experience during a Reiki session where Archangel Michael came into the room and presented himself. And it was like this huge, like boom of energy. And I got hot and sweaty, and I was like, oh my God, it's Archangel Michael. And I had no idea how I even knew that it was him, but it was him. I knew it like all the way down into every bone of my body. And I was a believer. And, but even at that point, initially, I never really called on them. Like if they showed up in a healing session, that was cool. I figured they were there for the person, and they were. But what I didn't realize, and it took me a while because sometimes I can be a little, I don't know, stubborn or something. What eventually happened, which was a beautiful experience, is that I realized that I am the only person limiting my experience with spirit, because spirit is of infinite potential and infinite possibility. And every time I like close myself off to believing in something, that's a limitation that I'm placing on my connection with spirit. And so what I've really come to understand, and the angels were a big part of that, is that, you know, really just allowing for the possibility of whatever to take place, like keeping that door open, even just keeping the door open allows miracles to happen, and really on a daily basis. So as I get into the Archangels, I want to share with you, when I set this up, I didn't look at the dates. I looked at the calendar and I looked at the days. And I said, Wednesday at 6 looks good. It works for me. And I didn't even realize at the time that I did that I was choosing 4/4, April 4th. And 4s are one of my favorite numbers, and it is an angelic number. And so I wanted to share because I thought, you know, the angels also have a pretty good sense of humor. they like love to play with us and have fun. And so I thought I would share a little bit about angel number 4/4 with you. And angel numbers are one of the ways that the angels communicate with us. It is how they give us signs, often through numbers. I'm sure a lot of you have had this experience. If you haven't, you could very well start having this experience after today. And I happen to see 4s a lot. And so I went ahead and I went on to a website that I recommend for any of you all who enjoy angel numbers. And it is Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers. And I'll just read you a little bit of what it says about the number 44. Angel number 44 asks that you pay attention to your intuition and inner wisdom, as your connection with the angels and the angelic realm is very strong at this time. Angel number 44 brings a message that you are being surrounded by helpful, loving angels who wish to bring you peace of mind and joy of heart. Angel number 44 is a message that the angels and archangels are with you, encouraging you and guiding you. Work with the angels to ensure success in all of your endeavors. The angels and archangels are always available for help and guidance. All you need to do is ask. And I don't think that there could have been a more perfect number for this intention with this ceremony. So I thought that was really beautiful. And I love that the angels really set the tone with that, and then brought it to my attention today when I was getting everything together. So working with the angels is one of those things that is, they are here to help us, help us evolve, help us grow, help us heal, They're here to share guidance with us. But my mistaken belief initially was that it had to be this really big thing. Like the angels only interfere if it's like life or death, or if there's this major thing going on. And what I didn't really realize is that the angels are here to make our life easier, period. And that includes a lot of little things, right? So for me, for example, when I was, when I was choosing the angels that I'm currently working with, and the angels that came through for this web ceremony, who are Michael and Raphael and Samuel, I chose them for specific reasons, but they are three of the archangels that I work with a lot. And I work with Archangel Samuel every day. And I mentioned this on a Facebook Live I did the other day, but Archangel Samuel helps me find things. He helps me find stuff every single day, y'all. Every time I misplace my keys or my phone or a piece of jewelry or one of my gemstones or anything, I will be frantically looking for it. And then I'll remember that I can call on Samuel to help me find it. And y'all, I really don't think that more than a couple minutes has ever passed any time I have asked him to show me where something is. I find it within 2 or 3 minutes every time. It's amazing. It's uncanny. I call on Archangel Raphael all the time in my healing sessions. And I also call on Archangel Michael for the healing sessions that I do. Archangel Samuel, I do want to note that he is helpful in finding things, but he's also very connected to the heart center, and he can help you open up to receiving, to giving and receiving more love. And he can also help you to find solutions, find relationships, friendships. He can help you to find the people that will love and support you in your life. So that's another thing that you can work on with him. And when I was really trying to come into my purpose, before I started doing this full time, I was still waiting tables and bartending, and which was not serving me at the time. Like it had served its purpose, and I was really ready to move on, but I really didn't know what I was going to do. I mean, I knew that I was a healer and I was doing some healing work. I knew I was intuitive, but I felt really stuck. And I worked a lot with Samuel and Michael to help me find my, align with, I knew what my purpose was, but they helped me to align with it. But even if you are feeling uncertain, like, I don't really know what my purpose is, I don't really know what direction to take, Michael and Samuel are two who can really help you to get that information and to meet the right people and to come across the right courses and the right books and to get the right information that's going to help you to feel that alignment and bring things to you that maybe you wouldn't otherwise find so that you can. Let me tell you a little bit about the archangels in general. They are basically the chief messengers of God. But in that, and I really think that all of the ascended masters and the gods and goddesses of some of the more ancient traditions and current traditions as well are all messengers of God, right? All of this that is in the spiritual realm, the angels, ascended masters, etc., they are facets of the face of God, if you want to look at it that way. They are all vibrational beings who are here to help us understand spirit in a deeper and more profound way, and to support us in our evolution as souls and in our lifetime here on earth. But the angels love helping us. It's like this thing that they love to do. They will always come when we ask for them. There is, an infinite supply of their support and love. They're very connected to the earth more than they are to other planets. So it's something that has really come in as service for us. There is, even if you are a doubter, even if this is something that you haven't been able to really, if you're here, you probably are at least open to the idea, but it doesn't really matter. Even if you're a doubter, you can just play with it. So if you have a person in your life that's like, oh, I don't believe in angels or whatever, try it, open yourself up to it and just see what happens. One way that I like to explain it, because it helped me when I was starting to understand this, is that everything in the universe is vibrational, and the angels are of a certain vibrational bandwidth that we have come to identify as angels. And the way that we have come to translate that particular frequency is that we have come to perceive it as a frequency that looks human and has wings. Now, that is how we have determined that we are translating that information, which other beings could translate it completely differently, because really what it is a frequency of energy. So if that helps you or anyone else to understand it in a different way, it's really that we are working with frequencies of energy that are here to help us and support us. So with the archangels, another little interesting thing, and there are many archangels. There are so many that I haven't even worked with all of them. I have kind of like my crew that I work with, which is the three I've mentioned, as well as I work with Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, a lot. I also work with Ariel a lot, Azrael, and I would say that there may be a few more, but those are the ones that I typically spend the most of my time with. Metatron a lot, because Metatron works a lot with indigo children, and a lot of my clients are indigo children. So Metatron comes in a lot during sessions, and he has a very interesting energy, very powerful energy. But you'll notice that all of the archangels but two, their names end in EL, and EL means of God. And the two that don't, who are Metatron and Sandalphon, are actually the only two that had lifetimes on Earth before they became archangels. None of the rest of the archangels have ever been in physical form on the Earth. So let's see. I'll go ahead and go over Michael, and I'll take some questions in just a moment too. And I'm trying to make sure that I can see the chat there. So Michael is, I'll show you a picture, and I've got a little altar set up here too, and I'll go over that in just a moment. So Michael is, and this is from a deck by Kyle Gray called the Angel Prayers Oracle deck. Michael is often represented by the color royal blue. He is considered a protector angel. He is the patron saint of many police forces because of that. He's often seen with a sword, which is a completely non-violent sword. But he's the type, with that sword, he can actually cut cords. So if you feel like you have attachments to people or situations that you're having trouble disconnecting from, working with Archangel Michael to cut those cords can be helpful in that process. He is one of the most well-known angels. He's considered a patron saint of many. And he is, a lot of people call on him for protection, both spiritual and physical. He can help you to find your divine purpose. And he is really good at repairing electrical items. So if you have things that are on the fritz, this can be your computer, your cell phone, your car, a radio. You can call on Archangel Michael to help with that. When you call on the archangels to help, what I found to be the most effective way personally, and also I have read this as well, I'm sure that I read it somewhere and then adopted it for myself and have found that it worked. I express gratitude for it. So when I can't find my shoes, I say, Archangel Samuel, thank you for showing where my shoes are, right? And that's how I work with them. Usually what happens then is something is sort of planted in my brain, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So Raphael, who is considered the divine physician, he is often represented by the color emerald green, and he is a healing angel. I work with him and Jesus a lot. They're a powerhouse for healing. He has a band of healing angels that hang out with him. And he really can effect profound healings and miracles. Also knowing that anytime you're asking for a healing miracle for yourself or someone else, that the person has to actually be aligned with that miracle, right? We have to have alignment. We have to believe and have the faith, right? If I don't believe that Samuel can help me find my shoes, if I'm really no, absolutely no, it's not going to happen, it's probably not going to happen. But if I can be open-minded and be you probably can, and I'm open to a miracle to see, right? And if there's a belief in me that it can happen, then it happens. He often works with healers, and you can also call on him for comfort. He can help heal like relationships. If you are having trouble with somebody, he can come in and help heal the heart connection between you two. If I'm having relationship issues with anyone, I often call on Raphael and Shamuel to be with me and sort of hold space with me, and Gabriel as well to help me with communication in those situations. And then I talked to you about Archangel Shamuel already, about him helping to find things. He's often represented by the color pale green. He is one of his, what is considered one of his holy missions is to help bring about universal peace. And his presence it's really loving. It's really peaceful. And I found that it's almost like, and even in this depiction of him that they have here, there's this, beautiful sacred geometry over his heart chakra. And that's how I feel him. I feel him just so loving in that divine masculine way. So let me go ahead too and talk a little bit about the altar that I created as we sort of step into communicating with them, because creating an altar is absolutely one of the ways that you can communicate with your angels. And I have a lot of love for sacred space, and anytime we create a sacred space, we put an intention in that space, and the intention of that space. And then, if it's an altar or something like that, where we're sitting and we're meditating and we're praying, the intention seems to be magnified. And you can call on angels anywhere you are. You can call on them in your car. You can call on them in an airplane. You can call on them while you are running down the street. You can call them anytime you want. And they will be there. And also I've noticed that when we're really focused on trying to communicate with them, it can be helpful to create a sacred space, to really set that intention and start to build that relationship. So when I created this altar for the angels, and always for any altar, use what calls to you, what speaks to you. I have this little dish here that has angels on it. So I included that on the altar. I put 2 feathers in it because feathers are often associated with the angels because they have feathered wings. And in particular, white feathers. So if you happen to find a white feather, that often is that an angel is letting you know that he or she is there for you. I chose some stones that really kind of represent my connection to the angelic realm. You can, again, choose any gemstones that help you to feel that connection. For me, I chose emerald. I chose blue apatite. I chose rose quartz, and I chose selenite. Those are all very much upper chakra stones for me. So when I'm working with those stones, I also like to make sure that I have some grounding stuff around me. And I have actually a smoky quartz here in my intention thing here. So I'm working with that, and a clear quartz here as well. I also have some grounding oil on to kind of balance me out a little bit. Angels are also associated with flame. And so lighting a candle is said to call in the angels, especially if you're doing it with intention. And I put, actually, you'll probably see, I put some candles around me as well. I also set up my altar with the different elements of air. So I put the feathers where the air would go. And I put the stones where the earth would be. And I put the flame where fire goes. And then I put a seashell over here to represent the element of water. And this is an oyster shell that was gifted to me by a friend. And it means a lot to me because it was during a time when I was working a lot with self-expression. And while I was working with self-expression, I was working a lot with Archangel Gabriel because that is one of her specialties. And for those of you who are writers, Gabriel is amazing for helping with writing. So a lot of times if I'm stuck on like a blog post or an email I need to do, I'll call on Gabriel to help come through me. So there are a lot of different ways to connect with the angels. So setting up an altar and just meditating and praying at the altar is one way that you can do that. Another very easy way, especially if you're kind of new to working with your intuition, because some of the things I'll mention might feel more advanced, and they are. And so all of you, there are, quite a few people who signed up for this ceremony, and you will all be at different areas. And just know that where you are in your development is exactly right for you. And there was a time when I did not talk to angels, and I didn't hear them, and I didn't even think that they were a part of my existence. So just know that for everybody, it's a journey. The easiest way, I think, to talk to angels is through cards, And so one of my earliest card decks was the Angel Tarot by Doreen Virtue, who, by the way, Doreen Virtue is like the expert of experts on angels. And I recommend her books. They're really good and very simple to follow. She and a man named Radley Valentine created the Angel Tarot. So this was one of the first tarot decks that I worked with. And it's a really beautiful deck. I don't know if you can see that, but I recommend it. It's also a very soft and gentle tarot deck. So when I first started with tarot, it was an easier one for me to access. And then also, I have this other deck that I showed you some cards from, which is Kyle Gray's deck, and it's an oracle deck. So working with cards and even just choosing a card every morning and asking, what angel wants to work with me today, or what do I need to know about today, and pulling that card over. And once you pull the card over, spend some time with it, look at it. So even without reading the book that comes with it, you can look at this card and you can get a lot of information from it. So you can think Archangel Samuel, you see that the heart is really lit up there, that there's a lot of love there. And it actually says, open your heart on it. You might look at the card and feel that peace that is with him. So I always recommend, taking a few minutes to let yourself really drop into the space of that card and feel it. And then you can, all decks, most decks come with a little book that has information. So then you could read the book. And that is a good way to start to get to understand the different angels, as well as reading about them. But I love doing that, where you're really intentionally working with an angel a day, because that will really help you. Or over the course of a week, if it's something that feels like, if you pull this card and you're in the middle of a major relationship issue and you get this card and it says, thank you for removing the barriers around my heart, you might have an epiphany of where you're holding back from receiving love, right? Or another type of epiphany. And so this might be something that you work with over the course of a week or a month, right? Asking him for healing, asking him for support. So really, trust, even if you're just beginning to work with your intuition, trust what your heart tells you, because you will get answers. The thing is that we often don't pause to listen. So just pause and listen, even if it's just a little word or a little something or a little feeling. Trust that what you're getting is valid and real for you. So that's one way, and that's a great entryway for working with them. Another really good entryway for working with angels is asking for signs. I mentioned the feathers, finding feathers. Some people have finding pennies as messages from their angels. That's a great way too. If you tell your angels, like, I want signs, you can pick a sign. You can say, I want it to be this. And then just be open and notice when they come. And when they come, like, know that that's a little wink from them of like, okay, I asked Archangel Michael to, show me dragonflies. And now here I am, and I'm looking up at the side of this building, and there's a big, mural of dragonflies on it. And that's your message. That's your sign that he's with you. Especially I think sometimes you might think, well, that's just a coincidence. So pay attention to like, well, how did I actually get here and what's going on? Because a lot of times you'll notice like, oh, I'm here because I took a wrong turn, or I'm here because at the last minute somebody, invited me to go meet them at this place, whatever it might be. Numbers are a really, really great way for the angels to communicate with us. So noticing repeating numbers, and what you'll probably notice is that there'll be periods of time where you really get a lot of the same number over and over and over again. And so when you do, look it up and see what it is. And again, you can even spend time with that at your altar. tuning in and asking about it. The other thing about angelic communication is that they often do it telepathically. So the angels are really, really good at just dropping information into your mind. So you might not even realize that you're getting signals, and you may already even be getting a lot of intuitive information that you don't recognize as intuitive information. Like you might be like, how did I know that? Or, what happens with Shamuel is that I say, like, something that happened the other day is I was looking for one of my mala strands and couldn't find it anywhere. I knew I had it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And it wasn't in any of the places that I keep my malas. And I was like, so weird. And I was going through everything. And finally I remembered to ask Shamuel to help me. And it was right after I got back from the Costa Rica retreat. And I hadn't finished unpacking yet. And I had gone through, because I'd had them all at the retreat, I'd gone through the suitcase already. But I asked him to help me. And as soon as I asked, within a second, I was like, I got the information. Go look through your suitcase again. And I had already looked there. But I was like, okay, there's something inside of my head telling me to go back to my suitcase. And I went, and sure enough, I found it. So know that a lot of times the information will just be dropped in there. And trust it, and go ahead, and when you get the information, go with it and see what happens. Because a lot of this will come, especially as you begin working with them, just through this stuff happening over and over again. I mean, as kind of silly as the finding stuff is, what that did for me, other than alleviate a lot of stress in my life, was that it showed me that the angels really were listening. And it was one of the things that helped me to build my faith, and so that I could start asking for the bigger things. You might also get, in that sort of telepathic way, you might get downloads of information, which feel like packets of information coming in, where you have an awareness and then you just kind of know something that might be bigger than a simple yes or no, or go look in your suitcase. So trust that comes into this. Often is very similar to a download on the computer. You click the little button and then all of a sudden you've got like this big image that's there, or you've got a video, right? And it's the same thing. It works the same way. It's like you'll feel like all of a sudden you'll have a little collection of information that you're not quite sure how you got. Let's see. So inner knowing. So there is also, and your psychic senses. So for some of you who have cultivated your psychic senses and who have been working with them, or who have a natural aptitude towards them, and everybody can work on their psychic senses and develop them. But for those of you who are already doing it and who have, or who understand it, know that you can also get information that way. So you can ask to be shown. You can ask for an image. You can ask for, some people are really naturally good at channeling the angels. You might hear them. Often when the angels speak, I will say this, I thought initially that they would like speak outside of me, and they don't. They speak typically inside your head. And that's how I've experienced it. And that's how I know a lot of other people have experienced it as well. So recognize too that sometimes you're hearing like strings of information, and that's true. Those strings of information, even though it's in your voice, if it sounds any different than you, or if it's a message that you probably wouldn't have given yourself, trust that it is actually coming from the angels. Okay. And let's see, also dreams. Dreams are a great way for angels to communicate with you. So you can actually, before you go to bed, you can let the angels know what it is that you want information about, and you can ask them to give the information to you in your dream. And something that I like to do as well is I ask them to help me remember the dream as well. But this works really well for a lot of people. And some people have a really strong aptitude to receiving guidance in dreams. With all of this information, try all of it and see what works for you, because there will be a few of these ways of communicating that are easier for you than others, and all of you will be different. And then similar to dreaming is, kind of similar. Dreaming, because you're really sort of not, what happens in the dreams is that the angels can get the information past your conscious mind. And so another way of doing that is to do channeled writing. And with channeled writing, you can, and I'm not going to do a long explanation of it today, but if you are somebody who likes to write and you like to journal, channeled writing could be a really easy way for you to access that guidance. It works on the computer too, if you prefer to work with the computer. I have a personal preference for using a journal in my hand, but you would set the question up and you would ask, choose an angel, one that you feel connected to. And you would ask the question, so for example, Archangel Michael, what do I need to know about this relationship? And what you want to do is you really want to relax your conscious mind, and you want to, it can help to meditate beforehand, right? To get you in that really relaxed state. And then you want to let the information really kind of bypass your conscious mind and come out through your hand. For some people, it works best to do that with your non-dominant hand, because then your mind will be busy trying to get your hand to write, and it won't manage the content of it. So you can try that way as well. Let's see. So that's actually a really powerful way to do it. And that was one of the earlier things that I did, because writing is something that comes easy for me. And so that was something that I did early on. So I am going to go ahead and take a pause and see if we have any questions. Yes, Doreen Virtue, and I can't see the entire question that's in the chat or the entire comment, but Doreen Virtue has had like a breakup from the angels, and I have not involved myself in that. So what I want to share, and this is for everybody, this will be an individual choice and how it feels to you. Doreen, at first I questioned, like, what am I going to do? Because if she's disavowing this, but what I recognized for myself is that the information that I learned through her when I was in my learning stage was very valuable and very helpful. And regardless of whether or not it rings true for her now, it rings true for me. And so that for me is what matters. That for me is what is important. Do angels and spirit guides work together? They do. And we have guardian angels too. We all have at least one guardian angel, and sometimes more. So the archangels, guardian angels, there are like many different types of angels. So there are like, Scott and I call them parking angels all the time. I know some other people do this too, but when we get to a parking lot, we sing it together all the time. Parking lot angels, and we do that. And then we like get a good parking place, and it's a fun game for us. But again, it's one of those things where we get to play around with just communicating and connecting with the angels. And those, I mean, it might sound silly, but there are angels who help with that. And I work with my angels, work with my guides. I have angels around my house. I have angels around my car. I have angels all over the place. I have angels around my son, around my dog, So you can ask the angels to help you in anything, and they do work with your guides. And also the angels work with other ascended masters as well. So, for me, in one meditation or healing session, I can call in Isis, Jesus, Archangel Michael, fairies, a dragon. I mean, they will all work together. They have no, they are all coming together to help and support us, and they will come together lovingly always. Okay, dealing with big questions like to stay or leave relationship, relocate. How do you begin the questioning process when everything feels so big? Yeah, okay, so I think the gist of this question, and I'm sorry that I can't see all of it, is that it can feel overwhelming at first, and the issues that you're coming to with the angels can feel so big that it's hard to even start tackling them. So I would say to that, to like when that was happening for me, in what I alluded to earlier about feeling overwhelmed with, how am I going to even get into my life purpose, and I'm still healing and all these things, was that I kind of broke it down into, I prioritized, I guess is the best way to say it. I prioritized. And so I said, okay, this is the thing that most needs my attention right now. And at that time I was dealing with a really toxic relationship. So even more pressing than the changing the job was dealing with the toxic relationship, because the toxic relationship was causing me to feel depleted, heavy. It was occupying most of my mental space. So I worked on that first. And then in addition to doing that, I did a lot of work with the angels sort of in general. So I asked them to help calm my mind. I asked them to help me to feel more loved. I asked them to help me to be able to give more love. And so I asked them for a generalized support. And then in addition to that, I prioritized the things that were happening. Now, what happened was, as I started going through things and healing and feeling better about all those things, everything, right? The ripple effect through everything was really profound. So I hope that helps you. Vanessa asked how you find out your team, and Lauren says she's asking about that as well. And yes, okay. So before I'm going to answer that question in a minute, and then another one is, will they communicate through electrical devices? And yes, basically any being on the other side, the refrigerator is unusually, they definitely will communicate through electrical devices. And so, yeah, pay attention to that. And the thing is that if you notice something happening with something electrical and you're like, I bet that's an angel, it's probably an angel. If it feels like there's something that is like, sometimes it's just the refrigerator, right? And sometimes you're like, wait a minute, seems to be happening at interesting moments, right? Or I'm getting a feeling that comes along with it. And that is most likely what is happening. So how do you know who your team is? That can take some time. It can take some meditating. It can take some opening your intuition. What I say to you about it is to know that you have a team, absolutely. That your team is part people are spiritual beings who contracted to be with you before you came into physical. And some of them are spiritual beings that you have called in. So even if you're like, I don't know who my team is, and I want to know who my team is, or I want to know who to work with, but you're not really sensing the nuances of who your guides or angels are, choose one to work with and call that angel to be on your team. I go for long periods of time working with spiritual beings. So I was working with Isis a lot for a while because it felt right to me. And she was on my team. She was with me all the time during that period. So know that you can also create your team, call in who you want to be on your team, and start that way. As far as the others, what you can do is you can work with it through meditation. You can go into a meditation and you can ask a guide to step forward and share him or herself with you. And then you can just tune into the frequencies of that energy. So you might not get a name at first, or you might. You might see the person, or you might not, or the spiritual being, or you might not. You might get a feeling, or you might not, but you'll get something. So even if it's like you're calling and you're like, okay, I want to work with my guides. I want my life guide. I want to know who my life guide is. You meditate, you ask your life guide to step forward, and then you pay attention to what comes up for you. How does this energy feel? Did you get cold all of a sudden? Did you get hot? Did you feel something touch you? Did you feel a warmth go over you? Did your heart open? And then you can ask yourself questions like, if you don't see anything, you could say, well, if there were a color associated with this guide, what would that color be? And allow that answer to come to you in whatever way feels best for you. If this person were to have a name, what would that name be? And then let that name come to you. And then if you question like, oh, surely I made up that name, you can ask your guide, like, show me that this is really your name. one of my guides' name is Halpern, which is a super bizarre name. Now, first of all, I wouldn't have chosen that name. Like, that's not the name I would have come up with, but I was still kind of like, that's a weird name. Like, don't feel bad ever doubting it. I was like, that is a totally weird name. So, but shortly thereafter, I was like, Halpern, I need to know that this is really your name because it's a really weird name. I happened to be driving a few days later and I pulled up right behind a big truck that said Halpern Provisions on it. And I was like, I just got chills right now as I was sharing that. I was like, okay, thank you. I believe you. Okay, so let's see. All right, so you are welcome. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to meditation, but if anybody else has a question or if I missed a question, because my chat bar is super teeny tiny, you can put that in there now. You're welcome, Lauren. Okay, so what we will do is we're going to do a meditation, and to start the meditation, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with the meditation. So this is going to be channeled, you know, one or more of the archangels are going to come in. I've set an intention to work with the energies of Michael, Raphael, and Shamuel. But you know what? I wouldn't be super surprised if somebody else came in for one of y'all, if you have a connection already to one. But what we're going to do is I'm going to have you guys take just a moment to, if you are sitting by an altar, to go ahead and write out your intention and place it on your altar space. If you're not sitting by an altar, that's totally fine. You can take a moment to think about an intention, and you can virtually place it on our altar anywhere that feels right for you. I do have a blessing tray here, so you could place it in the blessing tray. You can place it in the little angel dish or in the oyster or anywhere on the altar. And I'm going to do that as well. So the intention can be anything. It can be like if you need help with a relationship, if you need help with your finances, it can be, you know, if you feel like you want to find a new job, for information around that. So anything that is up for you, just go ahead and use that. So while y'all are finishing that, there's a question about somebody sees sparks of light, and she's asking if that's how the angels communicate. And absolutely, yes. Angels often present themselves through sparks of light. So absolutely. And so the next time you see it, you could ask, you know, who is here with me, and just see what comes through for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish that up. And then go ahead and get into a comfortable position. So that can be seated, it can be lying down if that feels better for you. We'll probably be in meditation for about 15 minutes. And after you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And tune into your stomach. And notice your stomach very gently rising and falling. And allow your stomach to get big on the in-breath and then to fall on the out-breath. And go ahead and find allow for a few cycles of that, nice and steady. rhythmic breathing. And bring your attention just above your crown chakra, right over the top of your head. And notice that right over your head is a beautiful silver and blue and green light. It's almost like a little disco ball, but much more vibrant. And notice that this light, very, very brilliant and large, and that it's radiating out all around you, surrounding your entire energy field with this silver, blue, and green light. And it's holding you in almost like an egg of light, and just feel yourself really secure in this frequency of love from the angels. Feel the light all around you, holding you, creating sacred space all around your body. This light is very cleansing as well, and as it moves around your body, it transmutes any energies that you are carrying for other people or places or situations, sort of zapping them, sending them back to spirit, transmuted and purified. And as you sit here in this beautiful beam of light, take a moment to tune into your body. And as you scan your body, you can start up at your crown and move down and around. Notice if there are any cords that are attached to you that don't feel good, that feel heavy, that might feel like they're draining you. And if there are, ask Archangel Michael to cut those cords with his beautiful sword of light, knowing that as the cord is released, it is for the best and highest good of you and the other person involved. And as you disconnect from any cords, notice how you feel. Notice if you feel lighter. Notice if your breath starts to come more easily. Beautiful. So imagine now that you're standing right outside your third eye chakra, right in between your eyebrows and just a little bit over them. Imagine that there's a little version of you standing there. And as you're standing there, you notice that it's possible to step into your third eye. So go ahead and step in. And when you get in there, take a moment to look around. There's a beautiful room set up in here for you. Take a moment to notice what's there. How it's decorated, what it looks like. Notice any colors. Notice how you feel in there. And then turn around, and from the inside of your third eye, look outward. And as you look through your third eye, take a moment to notice if it's clouded at all, or if it feels constricted. And if that's the case, go ahead and grab, there's a little bottle of goddess spray right at your feet. Go ahead and grab that, and there's a nice little cloth there with it. And use that goddess spray to clean your third eye. Putting it on there. It's a beautiful, vibrant green healing color. And as you put this goddess spray on your third eye, it starts to cleanse. And you can take that cloth and you can move it in a clockwise motion, cleaning up your third eye, helping you to connect more fully to your psychic senses. And then go ahead and step back and just notice if it feels easier to see out now. And even if you don't see anything, it's okay. You can use your imagination. You can trust a knowingness that there's this beautiful, clean third eye right in front of you. And as you're gazing at it and gazing out through it, you notice that there's a little button next to there. It's like an elevator button. And you notice that there is a button for the heart chakra. So you go ahead and you press that button. And you feel yourself dropping down, down, down into your heart. And as you get to your heart, you feel yourself dropping more fully into your body and into your both your physical and spiritual awareness. The heart center is the point where the physical meets the spiritual. And it opens up the door to our intuition. And as you get down to your heart chakra, you notice as well that it's possible to step through it. And so you step out. And as you step out, you are caught in the arms of an angel. So take a moment to notice who this angel is. Is it Michael? Is it Raphael? Is it Samuel? Is it another angel? Allow yourself to be held by this angel. The angel is holding you up, and there's beautiful blue sky all around you as far as you can see. And you feel so calm and relaxed here in the arms of this angel. And as you hover there with him, you feel peace wash over you, knowing that you are with exactly who is meant to help you right now at this stage in your journey. Your angel asks if you're ready. And when you give your consent, he flies off with you in his arms. And as you fly, take a moment to look around and just notice. Notice the earth below you. What are you seeing? Notice the way the wind feels on your face as you fly through the air. Completely safe, completely held, completely supported, soaring, traveling. And after a while, flying through the air, your angel indicates that you're about to land. And he pulls up and very gently drops down to the earth with you in his arms. And as you land, take a moment to look around and to notice your surroundings. Allow yourself to be exactly wherever you are. Maybe in the mountains or at the beach, in a meadow. And as you look around, your angel grabs you by the hand and he begins walking with you. And as you walk, just notice the ground below you, what it feels like on your feet. Notice the energy of your angel, how it feels to you. He leads you over to some water. And you feel the water gently rush up against your feet. Just allow the water to flow over your feet. And as you're sitting there at the edge of the water, he motions for you to sit down, to get comfortable. And he sits down there next to you. He takes your hand and he opens your palm. And in your palm, he places a beautiful little stone. Take a moment to notice what that stone looks like to you. And he asks you to place within this stone, he asks you to go into your heart and to tune into what is it that is most holding you back from achieving your intention. When you have that answer, place the energy of it, place that fear, that limitation into the stone in your hand. And he places his hand over yours and over the stone. And he sends blessings for healing into that stone for you, helping you to move through this limitation, helping you to move through it right at this moment, or helping you to know and understand all of the things that you need to know to release it, knowing that the right people, places, and situations that can support you in eradicating this belief from your system will show up in perfect timing. And he holds strong with you this intention to release it. He holds strong with you the knowledge that it no longer serves you, and that while it may have served you in the past, it no longer serves you to keep this in your awareness. And with that, he removes his hand and he motions for you to throw it into the water. And you throw it into the water, knowing that it is cleansed, it is purified, it is finding healing and transmutation. He places his hand over your heart and sends healing into your heart, sends love into your heart. Take a moment to allow yourself to fully receive this love and this healing. Let moving into your heart. Feel yourself opening up to receive more of it. He pulls his hand back and he stands. And you stand with him. And he begins to lead you. And you walk along the edge of the water until you get to a little outcropping of trees. And he leads you into the trees. And there's a circle, it's a little circle, a sacred space right there in the midst of the trees. And in the middle of the sacred space is a beautiful outcropping of rose quartz. It's giant. And he leads you to it. And he sits you down on it. And as you sit on it, you feel the vibrations of the rose quartz moving through your body. You allow yourself to receive. You allow the rose quartz to help transform your awareness of love, opening you up to even more of it in your life. Your angel kneels in front of you, and he hands you a necklace with an amulet on it, a charm on it. And as you look at this charm, you know that this charm is a gift for you to help you with your intention. So take a moment to notice what it is. Is it a stone? Is it a symbol? Is it a picture? He sends healing into this beautiful gift for you. And then he takes it and he ties it around your neck for you to wear whenever you want, as often as you want, knowing that this gift from him is energetically connected to your heart chakra and that it is to support you in achieving your intention. He asks you now if you have any questions for him. So go ahead and ask if you have a question, knowing that the response can come for you in any way. It can be an image, it can be a knowingness, it can be a word, a song, it can be a feeling. So ask your question and wait for the response. And when you have your response, he grabs your hand and he asks if you're ready. And when you indicate that you are, he lifts you up with him and he flies you back. And as you fly, take a moment to notice the sensation of freedom, the rush of the wind, your ability to soar high, to travel anywhere you want to go. Look around and notice the earth below you. Feel the strength of all that you've received from your angel, the support. Feel the touch of the amulet against your heart chakra as you fly through the air. And then he pulls you up right to your heart chakra. And he places you inside your heart, where you've always been, where you always will be, where you always are. Take a moment to say goodbye to him, to express whatever you wish to express. Feel his love, and to know that it is available to you whenever you want it. All you need to do is ask. And then you step back into the midst of your heart chakra, and you feel your little self growing and growing and growing and growing until you perfectly inhabit your physical space again, your physical expression. And feel yourself connect into the space of your physical body. Bring yourself back into your breath. Take a moment of gratitude to yourself for being here and to anyone else that you desire. Take a moment to feel the necklace around your neck. Knowing that it's always there whenever you want it to support you and guide you. Feel the pendant against your skin. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you all. That was really lovely. So does anybody want to share anything from the meditation, or does anyone have a question about the meditation? Just take a moment as we all kind of come back. I feel a little bit lightheaded after that. If it helps me. I don't know if y'all can see from my, like, what is she doing? I like to press my hands into my legs a little bit sometimes after a meditation to come back into my body. Okay, Malia said she actually got a little bit nauseous. So Malia, you'll probably want to come back into your body. So you might want to do what I'm doing. You may have gone very deep and very high. So pressing on your legs or using some essential oils. I know you use those, would be really helpful for you. Lauren fell asleep. That happens sometimes too. And if that did happen for you, you can listen again and do it again. Does anybody want to share any of the messages that they got? Liz says, very powerful. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. I felt really connected to this energy and found I released a lot. I cried. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So Heidi, yes, I would love to hear what you want to share. And if you want, you can unmute yourself to share if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow. Where do I start? Thank you for that. It was just really beautiful. Really deep. So it's Archangel Michael, which I have known, I think, not completely consciously for a long time.
Yeah.
Came in loud and clear. And oh, I just had goosebumps, down the left side of my arm.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, and I wasn't cold, and all of a sudden I got goosebumps, in my upper body.
Yeah.
So we flew over, which came as no surprise to me, the ocean. Our feet were in the sand. And it is probably not in the U.S. Saw this beautiful place where I'm living, and where I work, and where I heal, and that it is all very possible, very, very possible, and not too far out into the future. Nice.
I love that. I love that for you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fun.
Does anybody else want to share? All right.
I will.
Okay.
Very super intense, but in a good way.
Awesome.
It was also Archangel Michael that came in for me. And one thing I remember is when we were clearing the third eye, I got very emotional about that because it was very foggy and unclear. And just that idea of the goddess energy here. You can clean it. It was just very emotional. The necklace I got was at first like a tiny antique key, and then it kind of morphed into the word love, and then I had just 2 pendants on. So
nice.
Still not sure what that is, but it really felt great.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And you can continue to ask for more clarification with it. Yeah, I know you know that.
Definitely will.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. So is there one more person who wants to share? And it's okay if nobody else does. But if you do, I want to hold space for it. And okay. And so I want to share before we hop off. And if somebody else decides they want to share while I'm talking, feel free to put it in the chat and then you can unmute afterwards. The reason that, that the angels tapped me on the shoulder to host this was because of my upcoming retreat, and I have some spaces still available for it. And I asked Michael and Samuel and Raphael to support me in finding the right people for it. And they were like, have a web ceremony and invite us in. So, I'm always game for something like this. I really have enjoyed doing the web ceremonies that I want to do. And they're really special for me, and connecting with all of you is really special. So I was like, okay. So I just want to share about the retreat. If it's anything that lights any of you up, of course, I would love to have you there. And you can always email me for more information as well. But we're having a retreat up in the mountains outside of Asheville, North Carolina. It's my retreat along with my partner, Scott Hall, who does some support work for it. And I'll share more about that in a moment. But basically, it's an intuitive and spiritual development retreat. And we spend time learning, playing, exploring. We learn all about energy. We learn how to see it, touch it, feel it, sense it. We learn how to interact with it. We learn how to feel empowered with it, which was especially important for empathic and sensitive people. We play with the energy of the land. There are portals there and all kinds of things that I'm not going to divulge right now because I want it to be a surprise for those who go with us. We work with our intuition. We connect with the angels. We connect with goddesses. We do ceremonies. We learn how to give readings for each other. It's really, really beautiful and special and magical. A lot goes on. The land itself is incredibly precious. It's like a small-ish group. There will be, up to 10 of us. So we get to connect really strongly with one another, create a really intimate and powerful circle that is very transformative. In addition to everything I just mentioned, we also do fire ceremonies. My partner, Scott, channels and plays music for us. And we've decided to add something really special for this one, and that is that we're going to do an extra workshop that I haven't done before, and Scott will be helping with this since he does channel so much, is going to be teaching channeling for those of you who are interested in learning that. So, if you really love communicating with the angels and you want to channel one of them, it would be a great way to learn. But we will be exploring all different ways to connect with spirit. It is all about connecting with spirit and deepening our connection to spirit and learning how to communicate in a way that supports our growth and our best and highest good, and is very, very fulfilling in that way. Oh, sweet. Okay. So if y'all have questions about, I'm going to read that comment in a moment. If you guys have questions about the retreat, please feel free to email me. You can also put one in the chat bar right now. It is a really special event for me. And I know that whoever is supposed to be there is going to be there. And if it's you, I'm grateful for that. Also, you can find more information on my website at janetraftis.com/retreats. And you can email me, janet@janetraftis.com. Mercini wrote that she did not connect with an archangel, but she connected with who she believes to be Jesus. And Mercini, that is entirely possible. I wouldn't doubt at all that the energy of Jesus would come to you, and it's really beautiful, and a beautiful energy to work with, and most likely who you most needed to come through today. And then I'm not sure if that is, I think it's Tatiana. Yes, there will be a replay. We'll send it out tomorrow morning. And Mercini, I'm not sure if I missed the end of your question. So if I did, if you wouldn't mind putting it in again, that would be great. Yeah, so you guys can do the meditation again too and connect with a different energy. You can use it to go more deeply into it. However, it works for you. Absolutely. You'll have that tomorrow. And let's see. Does anybody else have any questions or want to share about their experience? Lauren talking about Mercini experienced a pain in her shoulder. Mercini, did it go away right away? You are so welcome, Lee. Thank you. And I'm just wondering, it might take a little more conversation between us to figure out what it was. But it could have, and also to know what part of the meditation you felt it. You're so welcome, Heidi. I love you. It went away. So it could have been a message, Mercini. It could have been a message. The shoulders are often about carrying too much weight, carrying responsibilities that aren't yours. So it could have been a way of bringing your attention to that there's something that you're carrying that isn't healthy for you right now. And it could be connected to your intention for the meditation, if that makes sense to you. Hey, Abby, you're welcome. So anytime something like that happens, know that any experience that you have in the meditation is connected to, it could be potentially connected to the answer. So even if it's something that seems really weird, like a pain in your shoulder, you could afterwards tune in and be like, well, what does that mean? You could look up the meaning somewhere. You can journal about it and tune into what's going on here. Why did I get the information in that way? All right, let's see. Are there any other questions or any other experiences? Okay, totally makes sense. She says it usually does. Brittany, thank you, honey. I would love for you to be there. All right, and I am so grateful that you all were here and so grateful that you all shared this with me. This is a lot of fun, and I think it's a really, really fun way for me to share my work with you all. And so I'm grateful that you have participated and that you were here, and that even for those of you who have not watched it yet, your energy was with us in the meditation. And for that, I am very grateful. Know that we were all connected for that. And that before we sign off here, I do want to take a moment to lovingly disconnect, so that I think probably every one of us is probably an empathic, sensitive person. So let's take a moment to just kind of close our eyes. And again, kind of tune into your breath. And for anyone who had to jump off early, I will have this disconnect extend to them as well. And just feel yourself releasing the energy of every other person who is here. Just feel it sort of disconnect and drop away from you. And then as you feel that moving away from you, moving back to its rightful owners, feel any of your energy that was with anyone else coming back to you. And feel yourself as complete and whole. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see some of you really, really soon. And for the rest of you, thank you again for joining. I really appreciate it. And I wish you all the best evening, and enjoy your pendants and your necklaces, and work with your intention. And if you have any special experiences that you ever want to share about anything that happened tonight, feel free to email me. And sending you all love. Bye.